Okay. Listen to this. President Biden says, enough of the rocket and the feather. He took to Twitter to call out the tendency for gasoline prices to go up like a rocket when oil spikes, but only drop like a feather when crude crashes. Biden tweeted, quote, oil and gas companies shouldn't pad their profits at the expense of hardworking Americans. Prices at the gas pump are now going down, but only a penny or two at a time this week, despite oil collapsing by 27% between a March 6th peak to today's close. News Nation's Brian Enton joins us now. Brian, why are gas prices not going down as rapidly as oil prices?
Well, Mike, there's a couple of different reasons, according to the experts. Number one, they say that many of these gas companies bought the gas when oil prices were still high. So it's going to take some time for all of that to trickle down. They don't want to lose out on their profits right now. The second thing has to do with competition. If one of these gas companies or even a gas station in an area decides to lower the price, that is what it could take for the other stations and companies to also have to lower their prices. Unfortunately, that hasn't really started happening yet. Listen to what one economist told us earlier today.
There are lags, as you know, between when crude oil gets to refineries, when it's refined into something like gasoline, and then when it reaches to the retail pump stage of things. So there could be a little bit of a time lag in that.
So there certainly is a lag. That is a factor, Mike, but that competition element is really important. When one of these companies decides to lower the prices, there will likely be a trickle effect. We reached out to both Exxon and Chevron today, trying to find out, hey, when could this possibly happen? Neither of them answered our specific questions.
Now, Brian, I think we're all looking forward to those neighborhood gas wars where one station on the corner lowers their price and then the other one, and then it just escalates from there. Brian Enton, thank you very much for that report. Okay, I want to bring in now Democratic political strategist Kristal Knight and Patriot Academy founder Rick Green. Welcome. Rick, I'll start with you. President Biden blaming Putin for gas prices. Fair or not fair?
Look, let's be honest about how clueless this administration is when it comes to economics. I mean, first of all, they deny the fact that they created the inflation by dumping $10 trillion on the market while paying people to stay home and creating all kinds of supply problems. And then secondly, I mean, let's think about how oil becomes gas. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that all the other expenses are going up as well. I'm not no defender of the big oil companies. Believe me, they've become too woke for me to defend them for sure. But this would be like saying to the burger joint guy, okay, so meat's going back down, but even though tomatoes and lettuce are still up, onions are up, employee prices up, the lights, everything else is up, you've got to drop your price because the meat went down. I mean, it just completely ignores economics. I wish someone would put Joe Biden through an economics 101 class if he could stay awake for it. But the important thing to remember is that you can't blame Putin for all these prices going up when they went up every single month Joe Biden has been president. Every single month. So Putin invades Ukraine in February, and we're going to blame him for Joe Biden's policies that are, you know, all about global warming and this pseudoscience. He just doesn't let people drill. He doesn't let us have the pipelines. This is basic supply and demand, and that part will not change just because of competition at the pump.
All right, Kristal, there's a gusher of information we've just heard. I wonder if you would like to try to put a cap on that.
Of course, I respectfully disagree with Rick as always, and it's great to be back on the show. But I think what the president is trying to state right here in this tweet and other things is that America has to become energy independent. We have to stop relying on foreign aid. One of the things I think this talking point about the Putin price hike, it's true that, you know, the price of gas did go up after the invasion. But I think also to Rick's point, gas was already high. And so what does that mean? It means that oil companies are being greedy. I like how the package before this segment stated that there's healthy competition, but really what it is just greed. If, you know, Shell won't bring their oil prices or won't bring the price of gas down, neither will BP and neither will the others in the competition. And so that's not the way to help Americans and to make sure that people can get to where they need to get to based upon, you know, their reliance upon gas.
Right. All right. I want you both to take a listen to what Senator John Kennedy, the loquacious Republican from Louisiana, had to say about European countries still having to rely on oil from Russia.
We have to buy his oil and gas because where else are we going to get it? And the answer is the United States. But in order to provide it for them, the president is going to have to reject his energy policy of wind, solar, and pixie dust and agree to an all-of-the-above energy policy of wind, solar, nuclear, and yes, oil and gas.
Okay, Kristal, you step up to the plate first on this one. The pixie dust line, the all-of-the-above strategy, Republicans have been insisting on this for quite some time. So should President Biden allow more drilling?
Well, I think we're at a point right now where we have to put it back on the table. You know, historically, it's not been a favorite policy of the Democratic agenda. Just because of what it does for the environment. But if we're really talking about getting out of Russia, getting out of the Middle East, then we have to rely more on our own natural resources. And that may include fracking, that may include drilling. And that's not something that many Democrats are really willing to put back on the table. And really also thinking about the pipeline that we've also historically been against. So I'm not willing to say that we have to do it, but I think it's a conversation that we have to revisit, considering where we are right now.
Okay, you guys, I'm sorry, Rick, we've all filled up our allotted time here, so I have to say thank you, Democratic political strategist Kristal Knight and Patriot Academy founder Rick Green. Thank you very much for being on tonight.
Thanks, Mike. Don't tell Joe, but I agree with everything Kristal just said. That's very unusual for us.
All right, mum's the word. All right.